Hello everybody, and welcome to SportSource, your number one source for sports, and today we're talking about why the Golden State Warriors need to trade D'Angelo Russell to the Minnesota Timberwolves. But before we do that, smash that like button and subscribe for more NBA news and discussions. Without further ado, let's begin the video. So the Golden State Warriors are probably one of the most disappointing teams this season, as they've started out 2-7, and most of that has to be with, the very apparent lack of depth. Steph Curry just went out with an injury, and he's probably going to be out for the whole season. So, we're starting to look at what the Warriors should do next. They still have D'Angelo Russell, and they're still going to have Klay and Curry come back next year. But just, what's next for this team? Should they tank? Should they get a top draft pick? Run it back with D'Lo and all of them? But I think that they should trade D'Angelo Russell to the Minnesota Timberwolves for a couple of different reasons. The first reason being that we've seen the trio of Draymond, Klay, and Curry work before. That was the same trio that won 73 games, So I just don't really think that D'Angelo Russell is as needed on this team, because if you look at the 73-9 team, yes, there was Draymond Green, Klay, and Curry, but they also had lots of great bench players and lots of depth that really helped get them to 73 wins. They had Andrew Bogut at starting center, who did pretty good. They had Harrison Barnes, Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, and just this team doesn't really have any of that. And D'Angelo Russell, obviously he's a big baller. Obviously, he's just such a good player. He's an all-star in my opinion. All-star caliber player, I should say. But the Warriors have no depth, and if they want to get depth, I feel like that D'Angelo Russell is the main piece that they could use to acquire some depth and maybe even contend for a championship in the upcoming years. Now, there is lots of high interest for D'Angelo Russell, and obviously they can't trade him until December because they just signed him this offseason. Well, they did trade for him this offseason, but, there's lots of high interest for D'Angelo Russell. There's teams like the Pistons, the Magic, and the Timberwolves. The team that we're going to be talking about is the Minnesota Timberwolves, and a big reason because of that is because of the Cat and D'Angelo Russell duo. They are known to be great friends off the court, and they've already said with Booker that they want to team up someday. So if you get 2 out of the 3, then that's pretty good. I mean, Cat, the Timberwolves are doing pretty good at the time I'm recording this video. They're 5-3. During Cat's suspension, they kind of fell off a little bit, but Wiggins is starting to prove himself more. And this Minnesota team is looking very solid, and it's exceeding lots of expectations. And I think that they had D'Angelo Russell, that he could just elevate this team, and this could be a good team for the future as well, because you got guys like Jarrett Culver, and you also got Josh Okogie, you got Andrew Wiggins, who's been playing really good, and you have Cat, obviously, and D'Angelo Russell. So that's just a young, nice team, and I think that they would all really fit together really well. So that's kind of the incentive for the Timberwolves, and like I said, for the Warriors, they need more depth if they want to contend for a championship in the upcoming years, because if you have Curry and Klay, D'Angelo Russell will be the secondary ball handler, and he would be the third scorer. But D'Angelo Russell is just so much better than that, and I think that you should just support your big 3 that you have and not try to add D'Angelo Russell into the mix and make it confusing. So what I suggest is the Warriors get Robert Covington, probably one of the best, if not the best, 3-and-D players in the NBA. He would just fit in perfectly with this team, and he brings that solid amazing defense. He's one of the best or underrated defenders in the league, in my opinion, and he can still score 13 points a game. He can still shoot efficiently. He can still knock down the threes, and I think that he would just be a great fit in this Warriors system. You also got Gorgui Zhang, who you'd have to get back because making the salaries work, but he's a good backup big man. But yeah, they would have to get him because of the cap reasons. You would obviously want some picks for either future trading or to draft and develop more talent for when this era of Curry and Klay is over. And then if I'm the Warriors, I want Jarrett Culver, but we're going to be talking about that a little bit, because if I'm the Timberwolves, I like the idea of having Jarrett Culver and D'Angelo Russell. I think that would be such a good duo, because whatever D'Angelo Russell can't do, Jarrett Culver could do. Jarrett Culver, he hasn't really started out great. He's only been averaging 7 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists with 32% from the field in 20 minutes in his first couple games in the NBA, but he's a rookie. He still has plenty of time to get it together. But if you look at Culver, he's a good defender. He projects to be a good secondary ball handler. He could be a good finisher, and I think that he would just be a very, very good fit next to D'Angelo Russell. Culver, he was drafted high last year with the 6th overall pick, and he has lots of ceiling. He has lots of potential, and him next to D'Angelo Russell would just be so good. Obviously, not to mention Cat, he would really, really benefit, because he hasn't really had that great playmaker in his career and a good point guard. So if you give him that all-star caliber point guard who he has good chemistry with, then I think that this could elevate that team even further. You also got Andrew Wiggins, who's been doing really good. He could be that third guy. A little bit less pressure with D'Angelo Russell coming in. D'Angelo Russell could be a good facilitator for him and just, run the offense and obviously score, because that's what D'Angelo Russell does. He scores. So if that's the Warriors, I want Jarrett Culver, because even after, think of it this way. If the Warriors were to get Rocco and Jarrett Culver in this deal, their future starting lineup would be Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Jarrett Culver, Robert Covington, and Draymond Green, if they want to go small ball. That's a very, very good starting five if Culver develops into a great player. And even if he doesn't, that's still an amazing starting five. And, obviously the depth is a big issue, but you would be adding that depth with the picks you'd be acquiring, maybe trade the picks for depth, or you could also sign players. You do have Kevon Looney, who's a nice bench piece. But yeah, the Warriors, I think that this season, if they were to make this trade, the big thing is the Warriors are going to want Culver. The Timberwolves are not going to want to give up Culver. But in this situation, let's just say that the Warriors get Rocco, Gorgui Dieng, and 2 first-round picks for D'Angelo Russell, maybe even 1 first-round pick and a pick swap. I don't know. I think that D'Angelo Russell has very high trade value. And they're even trying to raise his trade value because he just dropped, I think it was 52 a couple nights ago. He dropped 52 points in a loss, which was disappointing. But yeah, just letting him play, getting him as much shots as possible, trying to raise that trade value a bit, even more than it already is, because he's a young all-star point guard that could really, really be beneficial to some teams. Now, the reason I like this trade so much is that the Wolves build a young team around D'Lo, Cat, and Wiggins. They build a good system, a fast-paced system. They're already one of the fastest teams in the NBA right now, but adding D'Angelo Russell just adds so much more tempo, so much more pace and fluidity to that offense that they really need, and obviously more scoring and passing, which, why wouldn't you want that? You do sacrifice some defense because Robert Covington is just a guy that I think every team wants him, because that's just how valuable he is. Those 3-and-D guys, he's an elite 3-and-D guy in my opinion, and getting him would just be so crucial. But I think it'd be good for the Wolves to get D'Angelo Russell to pair with Cat, build a good system around them, build good chemistry, and for the Warriors, if they do this, I think that this season is just a bust overall. I think that this season is not salvageable, especially with Steph Curry out. So just tank, try to get a top draft pick, and if you do get a top draft pick, that puts you in a little bit of a different situation. Because if you have that starting lineup that I just named, plus the first round picks, you could either trade the first round picks for some bench pieces and just kind of really try to get some good depth, or you could draft a good player who can, make a good impact now and be a centerpiece for later. Like, for example, let's say James Wiseman goes to the Golden State Warriors. Then, he'd be a pretty good player for right now, but for the future, him and Jarrett Culver or him and whoever would just be taking over this franchise once it's all said and done. So the Warriors, like I already said, their future lineup would be Curry, Culver, Klay, Rocco, and Draymond if they were to get Culver in the deal, which I think they should try to get Culver. If not, maybe try to get Josh Okogie, but I think that Josh Okogie is very valuable to the Timberwolves as well. But either way, getting Rocco and 2 first-round picks in Zhang, I think is good enough. You also got Eric Pascal, you got Kevon Looney, and obviously you still have free agency to kind of build up your depth, because who wouldn't want to go to this Golden State Warriors team if they have that deadly starting 5, And building that depth, you still have time to do this. This is kind of unrealistic, but this is something that I think that they should try to look doing. For sure to trade D'Angelo Russell because of his fit with the future system and the current system. But also, you got a whole year to plan for this. I think that they should start on December 15th or whenever D'Angelo Russell's eligible to be traded, and just look around the league. There's going to be lots of interest, lots of phone calls, but do what's best for your franchise. Obviously, that this Warriors-Timberwolves would be the dream trade for both teams, but if you could get more value and you think you could win a trade, then just trade wherever. I just really, really, really like the idea of D'Lo going to the Timberwolves. I think it'd be a win for both teams, and, it would be good for the Wolves because they build that young core, and they build chemistry and a fast scoring team. And for the Warriors, they get that 3-and-D perfect guy that they want. They get some picks. They get some rotational players, which they need, that could really help support that 73-and-9 duo that we once saw. And for the Wolves, your starting lineup would be point guard Jeff Teague, shooting guard D'Lo. You would have small forward Andrew Wiggins. Power forward would probably be either Noah Vonleh or Jake Layman. And then you got Cat. You also got Josh Okogie and Culver for the future. And, getting that power forward spot, it's not too important. I think that this would be great for both teams. Timberwolves get younger and they have more of a direction, because right now they're winning, but they could fall off easily in the future, in my opinion. And the Warriors also get a direction. I think that this is a great trade for both teams. But what do you guys think of D'Angelo Russell getting traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves? Down in the comment section below. Let me know. Also, subscribe to join SportSource Nation. That's all for me now. I'll see you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.